Welcome back, guys, to yet another New World video. Today we are going over my endgame PvP mostly related build. Now before we get into this video, make sure you guys drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel because it helps me out greatly. But let's get straight into the video. So the stuff that we're going over today is based on a comment that I had on another video, which was a person asking about my double ranged setup. Now the reason that I play something as ridiculous as what you're seeing on the screen right now, which is going to be bow and musket, is because I find it really fun to push myself as much as possible in a game that has a very high skill ceiling on specific weapons. Now obviously both of these are, one is going to be the musket and the other one is going to be the bow, and they have very different play styles depending on what you want to do. Now what I focus on most is going to be group forms of content, so something like Outpost Rush or Wars. So this isn't for dueling, but this is more for the large scale PvP, as in I mostly participate in those events. Now what are going to be the things that I focus on? Let's go over my weapon mastery here. So let's go over the bow first. So I focused especially on the AoE dealing abilities. Now why did I do that with the bow? That is going to be because when you are using the bow, it has a drop off. Okay, so when you're shooting the bow, you can see that little projectile drop off that happens. So this one is going to be a little charge up and then shoots. So it's much harder to hit with a bow than it is with the musket. Okay, so that is the reason that I decided to pick more AoE dealing abilities with the bow, also because they are very good. So obviously you guys can see my build here. You can see what I've decided to pick, and if you want to, you can take a screenshot of what I use. But just to go over it, we are using poison shots, we are using rain of arrows, and we are using penetrating shot. So this is obviously going to be a nasty combo if you can hit it. So we are focused mostly on Hunter, and the reason that we're focused mostly on Hunter is because this one right here, when you land a headshot, you deal 20% more damage. And you know, the arrow, getting the arrow back is not really that important. And this one is going to be leg shots cost 10% slow. So this is pretty useless compared to something like this, which is going to give you 20% more damage if you do a headshot. So we're focusing on the penetrating shot especially, and all of these different delicious talents. Now the playstyle of the bow is obviously going to be the AoE dealer, and what you want to do as a little idea, just to give you guys a couple tips, is you always want to start out with using penetrating shot. Now the reason that you always want to start out with using penetrating shot, let me see if I can find a mob here, is going to be because these are probably going to get one shot. It's going to be because they are going to get staggered. Now what do I mean by staggered? They are going to get stopped in their tracks. Okay, so that means when I hit them, they slightly get knocked over, so they stand still for a second. Now these are obviously just gonna die, but if I were to hit a player, they're gonna stand still for a second, and then you have time to shoot a poison shot as well. And then when that's going, they bring the poison shot into friendlies. Now obviously if you're just hitting a big pack of people, you can just fire off the volley first, and then the penetrating shot and the poison arrow. Now why would you start with the obviously the rain of arrows? It's going to be because you can see that you might as well hit as many targets as you can. Also, if you decide that you want this, which is hooked arrows, it will also cause a 15% slow for 4 seconds for anybody that's hit in the circle. So that is something that you guys can consider if that's more to your liking. And yeah. Now for the musket, this one is something that a lot of people play very differently depending on the kind of playstyle that they want. Now, going over what I have on the musket, it's going to be a majority over in sharpshooter. I'm not much of a fan of the trapper because, especially in large scale PvP, using traps and using a lot of what this side of the talent tree has is not really going to be very feasible. The only thing that I did like very much is going to be this one, which is the sticky bomb. And that is because you can throw this into a large group of people and it will stick to literally anything. And then it'll blow up after a couple seconds to deal a bunch of damage. And that is going to be a nice addition to a little bit of a, as quickly as possible, burst damage. If you time it properly, if you throw a sticky bomb, you charge up a shot, and you shoot the moment that that bomb goes off, then you're going to be able to deal quite a lot of damage and potentially even one-shot some of the lighter armored targets, and that is something that you can consider. Now, obviously, remember guys, if you want to go over this, take a screenshot and make sure that you take every talent as well. Now, you can see here, increase musket damage by 20% against targets affected by the trapper tree status effect. I'm not much of a fan over here, so we are focused on this one. Now, this is sniper, and a lot of people actually don't know that this is a thing, even though I've seen them use the talent. What you do is when you zoom in, when you right click with your musket, you're going to be wanting to zoom in. And you can see that it's quite the distance that you actually get to be able to zoom in here. And I recommend doing this, obviously, if you're on long distance. But the only problem with this is going to be the fact that you can't actually... It's going to be the same sensitivity on your mouse. So that's why I only recommend long distance, because if you're very close to... If your opponent is very close to you, it's going to be the same... There's no aim downside. You can't get a different sensitivity here, so that kind of sucks. I would love to see a change like that in the future for New World, but that is on the wish list, of course. But that's actually going to be the majority of what I have to say about this build. It's obviously going to be very versatile in the way of movements. The way that I use at the moment is I'm running medium armor because of, you know, the whole Onyx meta, because of different perks and gems working in ridiculous ways. So you kind of have to do this if you want to survive. But I definitely like using light armor way more when it comes to this build, because it gives you a lot of versatility and you have a lot of options to get away from enemies. But that is going to be everything that I have for this video. I hope this kind of helped you guys out and showed you a different style of play, or if you're playing this yourself, then you have something to look at. If you guys have any extra information in any of these two weapons, the musket or the bow, make sure you guys obviously drop it down in the comments below and give some tips to everyone else watching this video. But I appreciate you guys watching the video. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. But that's going to be it for this video, so until the next one, see you guys.